Okay, well, welcome. We are talking today about a new upskilling and mentoring program for women in tech for 2023. I will do a very quick introduction. So, I am a transformation coach, agile, digital, you name it. I'm in the high tech space. I've been in high tech space for a very long time now. I started as an engineer, for those who don't know me. So I studied computer science, both undergrad and grad, as a developer. And then I became a Scrum Master, an Agile coach. I've coached many product owners. I became a manager, been a leader for a very long time, trainer, facilitator. So I do separate I have two lives. They're connected, but they're separate. So I have a full-time still employment, and I go to very large companies and I see very similar pain points that I've seen over the years. And I also, in addition to that, I'm an author, a speaker. I love to create different workshops, different programs. My passion truly is mentorship, mentoring, growing people, upskilling people, and making sure that you can just live a very fulfilled life. Um, I really am very passionate about people loving their jobs, waking up in the morning, um, just hardly being able to wait to maybe not drive for an hour to go into the office, but to see their coworkers and make a difference and bring value to their organizations. Um, and so I create different types of programs, workshops. So this particular one, I will talk a little bit about this book that was written by myself along with 8 contributing authors, all women in tech, that inspired me to create this particular program. So we do have a slide for that. These are some of the topics. These are the topics that we're covering in the book, but the program itself will touch upon those, but we're not going to really run the workshops as we would run it in a large organization. So what it's like to be a woman in tech, I've been asked this question a lot. Um, the interesting thing about this particular journey of all of us writing this book is we're very different people. We have different styles. We have different experiences. Even some of us who have been kind of in the same profession, wearing the same hat, doing the same thing, we all have our experiences and we know what we know. So we really truly enjoyed working, uh, learning from each other and working together on this book. And there's this power in connecting with people and working on something together. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to create a cohort of women. And I'll talk about a little bit like who this program is for and why you should be interested. Um, and why you shouldn't in a little bit. So what we learned along the way that regardless of us being very different, having different experiences, some pain points we've all experienced. And it's interesting to see that maybe your biggest weakness is somebody's biggest strength and vice versa. And all of these women that I've written this book with, I've worked with at some point, and we completed each other. We made up for each other's weaknesses, and we knew the strengths, and so we could ask for help. And so the purpose of this program is to do that, to connect you with each other, uh, to learn from each other, to also understand yourself better, and to understand the gaps and the why, and where you would ideally want to go. And we'll talk a little bit in depth about different modules and how the program is going to be structured. But for now, um, it's just a pleasure to be able to be in the position to actually like share my experience. And so that is my major why. I love seeing people succeed, and I love upskilling folks. So that was my why for this particular effort. So the journey of creating this program, I chatted, I shared a little bit. All of these images are images from the book. All of the characters are based on the contributing authors that you saw on the previous slide. And a lot of it is, like in this case, we've had a lot of chats over coffee. In this particular case, two of my coworkers actually came to ski with me. And so there was, and some of it is wishful thinking, right? I would love to go on a walk, for a walk on the beach with this particular colleague of mine. So, but the idea was that we collectively shared our experiences, and we'll put it in the book. And this program is just the next level to expand it to other folks. We also we do have different skills, and when we talk a little bit more closely about the program itself, I will also talk about the fact that depending on who joins the program, if I see that someone is lacking a certain skill that is aligned with where they want to go, and one of the contributing authors shines at that skill, I will do my best to connect you, to have them maybe come as a guest speaker. And if not, I know a lot more people than 8. And so if, for example, you want to learn JavaScript, it's been a very long time since I've written code. I don't shine at it. Not my expertise, but I know other people, women in tech, who also like to share their skills, share their knowledge, that will be happy to help and come and join our session. Something very specific like, programming in JavaScript would not be part of the 8 sessions, but it might be an additional session. So there's a few of you interested, then we'll do a separate session. Of course, you're not going to be able to learn it in 1 hour, but we'll make sure that you have all the resources, that you know the right people. So we'll have a very clear path for you how to obtain those skills and how to get there. So fail, this is something that I now live and breathe every single day. Facing yet another important lesson. Everyone who sees the title of the book, it's the first thing that they ask, what does fail mean? It is truly, the way I look at it, it's a framework, it's the mindset and the framework that promotes action. Because the idea is that if we are afraid of something, we're paralyzed with that fear and we don't take action. So facing yet another important lesson, and in the book, it's repeated in, I think, every chapter, that if you replace the fear of failing with the excitement of learning, then you can accomplish, many things in life. Of course, digital transformation, but it's beyond that. It's beyond that. So it's all about continuous learning. So who is this program for? I know this could be beneficial for men and women of all the ages. This is not intro to the tech world. This is not a super advanced program either, but this is for women in the high-tech world. You must be 10 years in the industry or so. Of course, if you truly want to join and you've only been there for 8, of course, you're very welcome. The reason why I say at least 10 years in the industry is there are certain things that you have to experience first to get the most out of this program. We're not starting from the very beginning. So some of the challenges, like you have to experience some of the challenges. At some point also, like when you're at the very beginning of the career, there are many people that can mentor you. So like, I don't know, like when you join when you're 22, everyone feels like they almost like owe it to you. Hopefully it's the experience I've had, to like help you out and have conversations with you about the future. And then like once you hit that 10-year mark, there's then like this expectation that you have to be an expert And you might be after 10 years an expert in one area, but what if it's the area that you don't necessarily shine at and it doesn't bring you much joy? So you're an expert and you're just kind of like, going with the flow because it's a job. My goal for this program is for you to have a clear understanding of what could that potential promotion be. Maybe that pivot, maybe that promotion. Maybe you're not satisfied with the salary and you don't have the skills how to negotiate your salary. So we cover that in one of the modules as well. And it's all from experience. And I know like some of the folks that I work with have absolutely no problem to walk into the boss's office and say, they'd like a raise. But I remember like I've got the courage once from someone's mentorship, and I went in. But the way I had that discussion, now that I look back in retrospect, it wasn't very effective because I thought I deserved it, but I had absolutely nothing to not argue with, but at least show how much value I brought. I mean, I wasn't really paying attention. I was just doing my thing. I wasn't kind of tracking any of my wins. And if you don't do, like, I expected my boss to just know, and they don't just know. Like, so there are certain ways where that conversation about getting a raise might be a lot more successful. Um, I definitely want to make sure that there's return on investment from this program because it's your time. And so we want to make sure that it's valuable. Okay, so must be at least 5 years away from retirement. And the reason I say that because I've done mentorship in large organizations where I was hired by someone else to coach folks. So they didn't willingly come to the mentorship program, right? The program was forced on them. And for many people, I noticed when they're very close to retirement, there's really there's some that I know one person right now is 6 months from retirement and still full of enthusiasm, but it's an exception. For the most part, people are just kind of like, I don't need to, like, I'm done, right? Like, done so many different things. And they're just not, they're interested in other things in life, but maybe not new skills in the tech world. So again, I'm not going to check your passport for your birthday. This is just kind of recommendations where I think folks need to be to get the most value out of this. Must be an action taker. And the reason I say that is because like you get as much as you put in. And yes, it's only 1 hour per week of live session, and there's 1 hour per week of the homework that you have to prepare for the session. But you have to do at least that, like that's the minimum, right? Like it can't be 2-3 weeks in, it's like, okay, well, I'm no longer interested or anything like that. Like you really, I expect a commitment of some sort. Like you have to really want it. I am keeping it to a very close group of no more than 12 people. So I also want to make sure that the people that are in it are, kind of doing the work, interested, and not kind of just like, and now I haven't offered the spot to someone else who would really benefit from it. So you really have to want it. And you have to be able to prioritize. I kind of went outside of the order. You have to be able to prioritize the upskilling with the goal to advance in your career. Like that's absolutely necessary. If you're very happy in your current job, have absolutely no intention, and it's possible. I've been there on multiple occasions. I've been in a situation where maybe I wasn't 100% challenged, but that worked for me in that particular time in my life. I had small children, so it's like, okay, well, right now, like that's just not a priority, right? It doesn't mean that you don't like to learn. It doesn't mean that it means the timing is not right. So it has to be in the top 3, because otherwise, there's really no point. If something else will always be above, and I'm not talking about emergencies, and I'm talking about your family, but you have to be able to prioritize you um, to get the most out of this program. So why would one sign up? So number one is to gain the clarity on where to take your career next. I know about 5 years ago, I honestly, I had no idea. It's fascinating to me that right now I have such a clear vision for 2023, even 2024. I already kind of have it in my brain what I want to do next. But 5 years ago, I had no idea. It was one of those just kind of go with the flow. I love the job. I love the people. So why bother? Why move? Am I being challenged? Yeah, enough. And so there was really, I felt like I needed to go somewhere, but I had no idea kind of like what would the next step be. And the interesting part is often like large organizations, HR, human resources requires you to have that goal. Like you actually have to physically come up with what is it that you're going to focus on for your growth and put it in a tool. And then there's sometimes a bonus actually attached to you achieving that goal or not. And if you have no idea like what interests you, what you could possibly do, and you don't even know what to put in there, I've been in that situation, and I felt horrible. But it's like, okay, well, I don't know. Like I don't want to just do things for the sake of doing things. And I remember considering an MBA program, and my mentor at the time asked, "What are you going to do with it?" And actually, a couple of people asked me that question, and I kind of said, "I don't know, I don't know." But it made me really think what I don't want to do. I never had the desire to become a C-level executive. I'm not saying I will not become one. I might. I don't know. But at that particular moment, that was not my passion. That was not my path. Like I didn't care. And so the question was then, what do you think MBA will give you? Like you have to have that kind of higher goal towards which you want to go, because otherwise, the things that you pick and choose, if they're not aligned to that goal, it's still okay to do. I mean, nothing is a waste, I think. Um, but it's a lot more fulfilling if whatever, it helps you prioritize too. Like, is this my top three right now? If it is aligned to your higher goal, your higher vision for where you want to go, then you're more likely to actually prioritize it. If you're just going with the flow, it's very easy to say, instead of joining this particular session, I'm going to go to a concert or whatever. So to gain clarity where to take your career next, and depending who joins, and depending on my experience and the experience of the folks that I am very close with, will pick and choose who to connect you with to make sure that they can actually help you, and they can recommend maybe next steps or who to connect. So whether it's me or not me, I'm accountable for making sure that you have that clarity by the end of the program. So, and then the next thing is sometimes we're very clear where we want to go, but we have no idea how. We don't have the skills. So I'll give you an example. This is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. It was something that I didn't even think was imaginable. Like to me, it was just this unachievable thing, and it was to be on a TEDx talk. And that's a high level goal. Like it's clear I have this vision, but I don't know the how. Like I've submitted a couple of applications, never like heard back. And then I meet a few people, and I went to one master class, and I met someone whose job is to train people, to prepare people, to help them come up with those ideas that TEDx organizers look for. And so I just signed up for an 8-week course, just like this one, to gain those skills. So sometimes it's the clarity, sometimes it's clear, but you just don't have the skills. So I don't have the skills. I don't know how to get on a TEDx stage, but someone else has. So that's the example of this particular program. You might know what you want to do. Maybe you want to become an agile coach. Maybe you are a manager now and you want to become a director. Maybe you're ready for that next step, that leadership role, but you just don't have the skills. So we cover that in this program. So to connect and learn from other women in the industry, this is by women, with women, for women. It's all about women. To learn and grow, just to live a more fulfilled life, like I mentioned before. If your life is completely you're just fulfilled with your job, everything is great, you absolutely have no desire to change your career or get a promotion or anything like that, that's perfectly okay. That just means that the timing for this program isn't right. Nope, I went backwards. It just happened. So what does this program cover? You'll see here, there are a lot of topics, and this is really just kind of touching the surface. And I'm organizing it in the way that they are separate modules. And so we can say maybe in the first session, we can cover module 1 and 2. Maybe in the second one, because we just had a homework of some sort, and you're given the floor, for example, to share what you did for your homework. And I'm not going to put anybody on the spot. If you don't feel comfortable, we'll work towards that. But at the end, I really do see everyone being comfortable presenting a slide or two with your voiceover, because I think it's one of those skills that doesn't matter what role you're in, it comes in handy. Whether you want to train your people that report to you, whether you did a project and you want to make sure that you present it in a way that is consumable to other people, because otherwise they will not appreciate your work. And so there are different reasons for why the skill of presenting is extremely important. And that is one of the modules. So, I mean, you'll see a lot of different things in here. How to handle challenging environments. You might be now working in an environment that's not challenging, but it doesn't mean that your next job will not be. Or you might be in a role where you're kind of like in this happy bubble, and then you get a promotion, which is great. It's wonderful because it's a growing opportunity. But then you find that all of a sudden at the next level, it's not as kind of nice and peachy. There's a little bit of challenge there. Maybe there are other people, different personalities. So one of the modules is how to actually handle it. Of course, metrics, data-driven decision-making, and they're structured kind of like from left to right. It's the way I kind of envision. If we talk about emotional intelligence and what triggers people, and kind of how to handle challenging situation, the next topic is how do you actually take emotion out of making decisions? Well, it's by having data and by being able to present that data in the way that it's not about emotion, it's not about opinion, it's data-driven decision-making, all based on analysis. And then, like, for example, communicating data to C-suite. And this was just one of the examples from my life when I was asked to present all that's going on in my agile organization. The deck was 99 slides, and I was asked to make it 3. It was very challenging. But the more I observed C-level executives over my career, the more clear it became why it's extremely important. In many of the meetings, you don't go past slide 2. And so it's just it's a skill. It's truly a skill. And you might say, you know what, I'm never going to be that high up. I don't care. I don't want to. It's a skill, and it's going to be covered in one of the modules. For this program to be the most beneficial, you also have to be comfortable a little bit with ambiguity, because I will be kind of picking and choosing the modules depending on who we have in the program to make sure that everyone gets the most out of it. If I see, for example, that only one person is ready for the communicating data to C-suite, then that's going to be one of the additional 4 modules, 4 sessions. So there's going to be a total of, the program is 8 weeks, 8 sessions. but there's a total of 12 sessions because 8 are fixed. It's going to be once a week. And then 4 are just going to be additional, like a bonus, just an add-on, perhaps with a guest speaker, perhaps with a very focused topic, perhaps maybe diving in. So if we're talking about choosing what to measure, or transparency, or tracking progress, there might be a few of you interested in, say, looking at how Jira does it, or how does another tool does it, or what other like cool startups there are that are working on metrics related things. So we'll see. So ambiguity. If you're not comfortable and you need to know exactly what's going to happen at every session, this program is probably not going to make you happy. How to be the most effective leader. There are a lot of leadership skills that we're going to cover, but it's almost like it's also going to be a theme throughout, because no matter what role you have, you can be a tech lead, you can be a scrum master, agile coach, product owner, manager, director, you're a leader. And so leadership is really has nothing to do with the title. And so we'll just make sure that you have a very clear understanding what it means to be the most effective leader. So how to sign up? You can go to realm3.com. You can click on the left side, book online, and just schedule 30 minutes, connect with Luba. I do want to have a conversation with every person before the next step, because I just want to make sure that it's a good fit for both parties. Or you can just send me an email at luba@lubasakharov.com with just a subject that it's upskilling women in tech program, and we'll take it from there. All right. I'm going to stop sharing. And I am going to stop recording.